welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pony drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pon Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
And there we are. We are live with the latest episode of the Trinity Force Podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day as we took it off to enjoy the day off from work and to thank everybody, veterans and those who have served in war and did not come back, and alike everybody out there who is helping to protect this country and who have previously protected this country. Thank you so much for your service, especially those that we know. To Claude, we're always thinking about you. You are out there, but you are alive, and he is, for those of you wondering, he's still doing well. You can always find out more updates from him over at twitter.com/Dick Claude. There is no E.
Yeah, harass him on Twitter.
LAW.
He loves it.
Yeah, he does.
Claude. He does. He genuinely does.
Yeah, I know he misses you guys, and he misses podcasting and all that, but he's going through some treatments right now, and he can use all of your words of encouragement. But other than that, we've got the new live overlay. For those of you that are not listening to the podcast and like to watch on YouTube, you can check this out. We are going to be showing the patch notes tonight as we talk about patch 7.11. You'll see those right in the middle of your screen. We had a lot of good feedback about how the overlay looked. There's still some tweaking to be done, as in adding names and whatnot. But for now, you guys get to follow along and see the patch notes, which will be really cool. And those listening to the podcast will see no difference, which is probably not a bad thing, considering that you guys have been listening to us and enjoying it. One last announcement before we get out there is that if you go out to patreon.com/TForce Network, you can check out the Kennen Champions Like podcast that is posted. We have one more. We just had a little bit of audio issues that we need to figure out and sync back together, but there will be another one coming out to you for those that
support brand specifically.
There you go.
So yes, that will be coming out. We're working out with the guest how to deal with some audio issues, which there will probably be a disclaimer at the beginning of, just so whatever you hear makes sense later.
Sport brand's a good one, especially
Yes.
with a lot of the changes coming here in the patch 7.12 and beyond. But today we are talking about patch 7.11, and I guess one last thing before we get in there, and this is more of a show note. I think now that we're not using Skype, that I might be able to actually push the audio to you guys from the intro song, so you can hear the intro song after 300 episodes.
No way.
I just was thinking about it as this was going live.
There's no way you had that emoji ready just because that was too perfect. Like, punch. I feel like this was rehearsed.
No rehearsal.
Impossible. I never thought I'd see the day or hear the day where I could hear the intro.
It's still not here. I haven't done it yet. I just said I think I might be able to. So
Okay.
I think it's probably maybe better that you don't, because the other option is that we all at once, when the song ends, try to just say stuff to lead into the podcast, and you when you know when it's gonna happen.
Or worse, we start singing along to the podcast.
okay.
Right.
Would be better, actually.
I haven't heard the intro song, and I don't know how long, because we don't get to hear this thing. So that would be a nice change of pace for like a minute, and then every show thereafter be like, oh God, no, not again.
It's a good song. Bad Administrator did it, but
I believe it's a good song, but you don't want to listen to it a billion times in a row, like any song.
I'm done with these stickers. I'm gonna find a way to disable them.
I love them. I love them.
All right, we're gonna talk. Let's go jump into
Keep
patch.
going.
Let's talk about patch 7.11. Bunch of changes in here, as you can see on the screen. Ari, Caitlyn, Mundo, Lee Sin, Lucian, Malphite, Maokai, Renekton, Scion, Syndra, Yasuo, and Zac all got changed in this patch. We're gonna start at the top of that list and go right down to the bottom, and we're going to work with Ari, who got some changes. So it's more of a power shift with this change. Her Foxfire, her W, has a 0.3 ability cap per wisp, down from 0.4. The maximum ratio versus the same target is also going down to 0.48.
That's just normal because of the damage fall off per extra volt.
Right. So it's just shifting a little power away from W, putting a little more power into Charm. The ratio has gone up by 0.1 to 0.6 ability power, and Spirit Rush has had a 0.05 ability power per bolt nerf down to
Right.
0.25.
So they're just lowering her consistent damage, the damage that can't miss, really.
Well,
And then putting it back, making it so that you have to land Charm, which is it's not the first time I've done this to Ari, or they've wanted to give
they
Charm
just keep
more
throwing
power.
more and more
power to
into
her in the past.
Charm.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, well, this is the only one that's not doing super reliable damage, so I guess we'll call this the buff, when in fact, like, it's just hurting everything else she does.
Ari
Well, dude, you
shouldn't
guys-
shouldn't have the ability to blow somebody up after whiffing Charm.
I mean, this is the same thing they did when they removed Deathfire Grasp way back in the day, when they were like, well, we're just gonna shift it so like if she lands Charm, she gets like a 30% damage increase on
Right.
the next ability or whatever. I mean, this just harkens back to that. They throw more damage on E because E isn't the easiest thing to land. So now it's gonna make the people who can land it do better, but it lowers the bar everywhere else. So I don't know.
I like this tickling that they're doing to her. Like, it's not that big of a hurt. Like, it is
It's
saying
slight.
you don't get the free stuff. Like, they're punishing the free stuff, which is, I think, very smart, because a lot of her abilities are very easy to, like, you can just walk near somebody and have W and R deal damage. You don't need to do anything to pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm fine as an Ari main now. I'm totally fine with this, despite the fact that it is objectively a nerf.
As the Ari main, would you say she's still playable, still viable?
I would think so. I will test it out, and I will tell you that I had no idea that anything was changed in the long run.
All right, sounds good.
You probably won't notice.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a main. Like, one trick that I can't, like, I haven't played enough games to even be considered a one trick, even though it's probably my best.
You
definitely
sell
my
yourself
best
short.
later.
Let's talk
Okay.
about Caitlyn, though. They, excuse me, they're changing Caitlyn as well as Blade of the Ruin King in this patch. Not that Caitlyn was building it, but they are reducing some stats on that as well. Caitlyn, they are essentially they said, excuse me, in their little blurb here, you can read it if it's on screen, is that they wanted to make it so that she played around traps more and had less consistent damage through auto attacks. So what they're doing is they're reducing her base attack speed. They're increasing her level 1 bonus attack speed. So that her level 1 attack speed is the same, but as she goes up, she gets less attack speed, making attack speed items less impactful on her as they were previously. On top of that, probably the biggest change is that Hurricane no longer stacks headshot.
That's a big one.
That's much bigger.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that is a giant nerf to Caitlyn.
Just as a quick aside, because I know Santana might, if he does listen to this episode, will appreciate this call out. We did play a game this weekend where our Caitlyn bought Bork as her first item, and we were all very mad at her for doing
Oh
so.
yeah, I was there. That was awful.
Oh, you were on here too. Sorry, I remember. I saw Santana, and I didn't look all the way down. My bad.
No, yeah, well, he was there too. No, that was really, really frustrating to have on our team. In addition to just general, I'm going to call it inattention to what was going on in that game, just like the lack of headshot damage coming out at all times was disappointing, to say the least.
So hopefully she won't be the best AD carry in the game after this.
No, this just pushes Ashe, Lucian, Twitch, like the
Draven.
Draven Misfortune way up. Draven and Misfortune being probably the highest solo queue carriers right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can use the other ones to build team comps around and everything, but those two, I mean, they're already doing pretty well, believe it or not. And Draven kind of is crushing a lot of different people as it is.
Well, I mean, if Bork's just getting nerfed too, like, it means that Caitlyn doesn't get hurt as bad as, like, she's still getting hurt because of this change. That is a very, very big change. But the other 80 carries that don't build, or that do build Bork, are also suffering for having less life steal.
Twitch a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to talk about it,
Ashe builds Bork, right?
yeah, she
Ash
first
builds
item-
whatever she wants to build.
Yeah.
First item is Blade of the Ruin King on most carries right now that are not heavy AD reliant. But I'm just going to jump down there. Blade of the Ruin King getting nerfed by 3% lifesteal down to 12%, which I'm really happy about because they're obviously just removing some of the power from it, some of the sustain, and that helps out a lot of people that are struggling. But they didn't shift it like they were previously going to do. There were some tentative changes in the PBE that got reverted where they were making it so like the damage you did was halved if you were ranged, essentially, and that was going to just gut the item for any ranged carry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Blade of the Ruin King's down to 12% life steal, which it helps out, but I don't think it doesn't like it doesn't smooth the landscape over. 3% lifesteal isn't something that's going to make or break any AD carries right now.
Well, out of curiosity, I was looking at the patch history related to the Ruin King because it's no surprise that this has been a hard item for Riot to balance. And lo and behold, lifesteal has jumped between 10% and 15% and 10% and 15% and now back to 12%. In addition to, them toggling some other
it's changed a lot.
On this ability.
Yeah.
It's maybe the most changed item. I think it would be up in like the top 3 most changed items, I'd say. And it was released. It was released like 4 seasons in.
I would say like one of the most changed items that's still available.
They're tweaking the numbers still. I mean, this is an old item at this point, but they're still trying to find a good balance for the numbers, which I think is odd, as opposed to some other items where they just like revamp the identity of the item and give it a new purpose. Blade of the Ruin King, it still does what it always does. It still does what it always did, but it just, I don't know, I guess it's just really hard to nail down.
It's hard to
It's either too powerful and nobody buys it.
There was a good post a while ago on the League subreddit where somebody said the reason Blade of the Ruin King is purchased because it's good, consistent damage, and that's why crit feels bad to build until you get 80% or so of it, because you know what you're going to get out of Blade of the Ruin King. You more or less know how much damage you're going to do, so it always feels good to buy, and is really good on those champions that can use that to their advantage. Not to mention the lifesteal helps out quite a bit in lane and previous to that, but. I just think as long as it's filling that role where it's just doing the consistent damage and it's not nerfed into oblivion, obviously, marksmen are just going to push right for it. It's a great marksman item. It's almost perfect. It's just unfortunate that they have some marksmen that need to have AD, kind of like Tristana, Jinx, the hyper carries, right? Anyone not named Kog'Maw.
Did you want to briefly cover Lucian's changes just because we're on that topic? Because it's very small. Q's mana cost just went up pretty significantly. Instead of going up by 5 per level, it's now 10 per level. So your first max is now 20 mana higher at max rank. So a lot less spammable, I'd say, in lane. Unless do you go Essence Reaver on him?
No, it's Blade of the Ruin King.
Okay.
They mention Essence Reaver and their rationale.
I mean, for a guy who's slinging around as many spells as he is and as quickly as he is, they want him to like kind of feel the mana usage a little bit more.
Yeah, make it a little more punishing if you don't go for that Essence Reaver route.
This change almost means nothing.
I don't know. The rationale kind of bugs me. I mean, so the first thing I mentioned is that he's able to do too much damage while specking the survivability, which to me speaks to, well, doesn't that mean he has too high base damage?
No, I don't think so.
You're not able to build offense, but you're still able to do a lot of damage.
No, but I mean, the fact is he can get a bunch of, like, with that build they're talking about, it's already 20% CDR, and he can use a bunch of spells, and if the mana costs go higher, then that's where you have to think about your trades instead of just always being able to use them. I think that's a smarter move than just lowering damage.
One of Lucian's biggest problems previous to a lot of his changes was that Q was such consistent poke and damage in lane to proc his passive that they've had to keep playing around that, how it's being used. Or how much damage it's doing, or how often you can use it. So by hitting Q, he, in theory, becomes less of a lane bully, but I don't think in the long run it really matters. It's just the people who are good with Lucian are going to continue to be good with him and just understand that Q might cost a little more, and those other players are just going to be the same as they were previously. Like I don't think a 10 mana increase across the board changes Lucian all that much.
I don't know. He's pretty strong in mid game, and this hurts his mid game pretty hard.
It's not. I don't think it hurts as hard as if they were to take damage away from him. Obviously, that hurts a lot more. I mean, that's a given. But increasing your mana consumption by 20, the only thing it might be the difference of is hitting that last E, which can matter absolutely. But through a combo of Lucian, who's already getting ahead in lane. I don't see that. I see this knocking Lucian down a peg, but nothing that's going to be significant.
I mean, he's in a surprisingly good spot for. I mean, he might be a touch too strong, but I almost worry that this is like a little too heavy-handed here. But I do agree with Punch's point that if he can spec into survivability and not give up any damage, then yeah, his base damages are too high. So.
Well, let's talk about
the mana cost isn't going to fix that issue.
I think I have more of a problem with the rationale than the actual change. Like I feel like on one hand the change is justified, but like the reasoning that they gave for it just seems weird to me.
Is there a possibility that because Caitlyn does well against Lucian, right? Like I feel like that's not a bad matchup, but I also don't play AD
It's
carry.
based on support. But no, Whale brings up a good point. The one that we had brought up is that Lucian is a mid laner at this point. Like a lot of people are playing him mid lane, and so it doesn't matter. You get blue buff, it doesn't matter.
Good point.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Mid lane Lucian, just like mid lane Corki. We'll always try to take an AD carry in there when we can. Dr. Mundo is getting a change in this patch. His attack damage gross stat has gone up by 0.5 from 3, so it is 3.5 now. Burning Agony, the damage has also been increased by 5 across the board. It was 35 to 95. It's now 40 to 100. Poking him a little bit after some...
And the reasoning for this is since they nerfed Sapphire Cape's damage, they want to give some of those tanks that built it all the time some of their dueling power back. So Dr. Mundo and then Malphite got a buff for the same reason.
And Scion.
And Scion, right. Lee Sin, something that probably doesn't matter for anybody, is it's just the W cast can now be buffered when placing wards, allowing Lee Sin to quickly place and hop to wards in high latency environments. And they do that with Riven as well to make it easier to get off combos and shit.
Yes.
Yeah, because they normalized her auto reset time. But same thing, Malphite. Malphite's ratio on ground slam has gone up by 0.1. So it's 0.4 armor. It's just the Sunfire Cape follow-up. Nothing that's going to make or break. Maokai is the one that I would like to spend a little time on too, because I think it's interesting how they're trying to balance Maokai to be a jungler by removing power from the support role because he's been a problem down there. And at the same time, they're removing power from the jungle by doing that, just like they did last patch. The passive sap magic, the cooldown was 30 to 20 at levels 1-9-15, is now 30 to 20 at levels 1-6-11. See a sap magic up.
Oh, that's
sooner, which is awesome.
Big, yeah, that's really good.
But the base healing has gone down pretty significantly because you get it sooner than you did previously. It's been cut in half across all.
Kind
of. Yeah, sort of. It's Riot's magic where they cut it in half early and then start slowly adding stuff back into it till it becomes like what 70% of what.
Well, I mean they're also adding
higher percentage health,
max health to it too.
Yeah, which the point of buffing jungler or top lane Maokai as opposed to support makes a lot of sense, because if you're support, you're not going to have that gold to get all that health to get all that healing. So
they did the same thing with Sapling Toss, where they added a Maokai's bonus health ratio to the sapling brush duration. So instead of being a flat 30 to 70 seconds, it's now a flat 30 seconds, but it increases by 2.5% of Maokai's bonus health. Which
okay, that took me a second to... Wow. That's a change.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier. I thought that was a really interesting change to how long it lasts based on what you're buying.
So 1,000 bonus health gives you 25 extra seconds, and you can scale it down from there. That's funky.
But
we also get the sapling move speed now goes up depending on what your boots are. You get the damage ratio went down in terms of like max health per ability power. So there's a lot of weird, like you're getting scaling off of ability power, off of different types of boots, off of bonus health, but for different things. They're not all like
it's utility scaling from utility buys.
Utility scaling is fine, but you 2 patches in a row you have taken power away from Maokai's jungle clear. They want to make Maokai jungler, but now it's 1% of the target's maximum health per 100 ability power rather than 2%. And so I mean that doesn't necessarily affect your levels 1 to 6, but you're still taking away.
I get why they're doing it, and I mean maybe they could fix it by having saplings do more damage to jungle monsters specifically, but I mean a big piece of this is I don't know how often you've seen Maokai bot as support, but if he gets 3 saplings in a bush and you're not paying attention and you just come back to lane and run into that, you have to back already. Like you have to back because like it does that much damage. It's really stupid.
Right, but the other side is that if you are paying attention, he's totally useless.
And that is
like he's
valid.
Like, I've played against a few of them who thought they were being cheeky by picking Maokai, and I wasn't gonna know what's up. But hey, guess what? I've played a bunch of Maokai. Like that's the same thing people have been doing for all time when they run that cheesy support Maokai. Like it's if you pay attention to what's going on, he is really easy to beat. And then he's basically worthless the longer the game goes on.
So Sapling's damage, by the way, has been changed. It was 100% on detonation, and then it did 2 ticks, 50% each. It is now 67% on detonation with 2 ticks of 67% each, with the total damage being unchanged. Got to get those ticks off.
Okay. Slowing down the burst damage, I guess.
Pretty much.
That's all it is.
Renekton has a change in this patch. Basically, he is back to where he should be. They reverted all 7.9 and 7.10 changes in Renekton. Go.
Everything we did before, just forget it.
Because they
Sucks.
fucked up all his animation canceling and shit. Like, you couldn't play Renekton anymore. It was worthless to play Renekton. And the only reason Renekton would stop or win at all on these last 2 patches is just because someone didn't know what the fuck they were doing against Renekton.
And it's funny because like some of the like pro play has started back up a little bit, and so there are some matchups where in the past like you can see them at least they would have thought about picking Renekton, but he's like basically unplayable right now as far as the highest tier is concerned. So they're just totally ignoring him.
Are we gonna go back and redact all of our Renekton talk from those patch episodes?
We may
So
as
just
well. I
like,
mean, it's
Yeah, why
gone.
don't you go in and edit it and upload a new one?
I'm not
Yeah.
putting
No, let's
disclaimer
just
on it.
re-record
If
it.
you're listening to it and you listen to this one, fuck you. That's what Riot
Well-
said. Fuck you. Thanks for spending time trying to figure out all this shit. Renekton made subreddit. Fuck you. No, they did it because Renekton main's just they realized they were wrong. Like all those fucking changes they did, especially like all the animation canceling, was just stupid. You can't take that away from players.
I realized if we did do that redacted thing, I'd have to do that for a lot of Champ Select episodes, and that would take a long time.
Scion Soul Furnace has been changed. That's his W. The cooldown has been decreased to 11 seconds. Shield scaling was 6 to 10% of Scion's maximum health. Is now 8 to 12% of Scion's maximum health. Are Scions maxing Q and then E, or are they maxing Q then W?
I don't think they're maxing W. I think that's the last.
Should be last.
Last
E and
minutes.
Q do more,
Yes.
especially for trading. But I mean, that's just a straight. I mean, you're getting a 2% buff on your 1.1.
I know a while ago though it was they nerfed E 2 or 3 seasons ago, and then people were maxing Q instead. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, Q is usually the first max. They're doing weird shit and everything. Actually, some people W does look like it's the second max right now and everything. I don't know. I've played enough support Scion. I wouldn't usually go that route, but then again, I'm just about getting that armor shred out there as quickly as possible. So.
Right. I'm interested to see what this means for Scion and the top lane. Top lane's really kind of been crazy recently in the last couple of patches. Like a lot of, I don't think anything is like, I know carries are more or less settling up in top lane. A lot of Jace, Fiora has been permabanned. Camille's seen a little bit of play. Rumble's a lot up there as well. And then Fizz can be flexed between roles. Sejuani is now seeing play in the top lane as well. So anybody with I'm interested to see if Scion gets chosen at any point in time as some kind of counter pick to a matchup. He didn't get any worse, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Syndra.
He's good against Kled.
Well, anybody with
That's all that matters
anybody
to
with
you.
high health and a shield would be good against Kled, wouldn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty
Anybody
much.
that can sustain the burst and then just push the wave and stay in there. Yeah, I can see that.
But Kled still
if
wins
it-
in the end, so it's fine.
And if you kill them, then they still might. Or Scion comes back and pulls Kled level shit.
That's right, because Kled has Scar at that point. So it's gay.
But does
It's
he?
gay.
If all's gone well.
Syndra has been changed. Force of Will, the area of effect, has been reduced. It was 275, now down to 225. Riot's rationale being that Syndra, it was too easy to land W.
I remember at one point it was too hard to land W.
Right?
Syndra just needs a fucking overhaul. Everybody and their brother. I know it's basically a meme at this point where you press R to win, the outscaled, but Syndra's there's just too much going on in that kit. And
I played one game of Cinder so far, and it went not great, but
Till the end, when we won.
fine.
When you figured her out.
No, it wasn't because of that. I did get some stuns off, but yeah, I will probably agree once I learn her. But now I'm getting the training wheels off ahead of time with Force of Will being harder to hit, so I'll never have missed it. I guess.
Awesome.
it's all about landing that slow with Force of Will, and then you start up your whole fucking combo, and then you're dead. So just dodge W, people. Dodge it. Yasuo, Steel Tempest stack duration down to 6 seconds from 10. I was going to point this out earlier to you guys that I think it's really interesting. I like this change because I think more champions need changes like this where they have abilities that get stacked up and they can hold the power. There's no reason to give an ability over 6 seconds of time that you can hold that power for. I was going to say 5, but I guess 6 is fine. But I think
I was about to say, case in point, like ever since the Vlad rework, I think they did it right in giving you that certain window of opportunity where you queue again, and then you have 2 seconds to make a choice once that comes off cooldown, and if not, then you build it back up and do it again. So Yasuo is going to see that a little bit more, and you're not going to be able to sit on things quite as long.
Those long durations meant a long period of time or a long window where you were punished for engaging or trying to challenge that champion.
Well, I mean, they just have a long period of time to sit and threaten, and they get to decide whenever in that long period they want to do something. And this is gonna
whether they want to engage or just freeze the lane away from you. Yep. Long windows suck. I agree with Pone. Lower them all.
Zach can see the change in this patch as well. It's more or less to let you know that there was a hotfix where they reduced the stretching strike's base damage. It was 40 to 120. It is now 30 to 70. So you've been playing with that. So you've been banning Zach. You've been playing with that. The only other really big change here is that Elastic Slingshot gives you 1 second before Zach lands to dodge. The dodge Zach or E.
That's nice. I played a couple games against Zach maybe a patch or two ago and thought a couple times I was able to dodge it, but a couple times I was surprised with how short of a window it was before the indicator showed up, and I will like having 33% more time.
Indicators are always a point of contention. If you guys remember original Rengar, where people were bitching, yeah, I get an indicator, but Rengar is still on top of me and I'm dead before I can even react to it. So indicators are great and all, but if the champion's already too strong, it doesn't really matter.
Well, this might actually give you a chance to move out of it, hopefully.
Right.
But yeah. Didn't really help you for Rengar. It's like, oh, I'm about to die. And then you died.
Should we jump back up and talk about the reworked Rek'Sai, Kindred, and Malzahar?
Do items real quick.
I think
a whole lot.
I think there's a lot to go on here with Rek'Sai, Kindred, and Malzahar.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's jump right in.
Items are fun and all, but I don't...
Well, I think Mitch's thinking was we'll quick burn through items and then spend.
Okay.
Just did that with champions.
That's fine. Right. Yeah, because items, there's really nothing going on. Nothing's going on too big in the champions part of this patch, and even the items. Banshee's Veil has a cost increase to 3,000 gold, but the magic resistance has gone up to 60. Which is
cost increase of 300 gold. Maybe
I meant 300. It's gone up to 3,000 gold.
Banshee's Veil now costs 5,700 gold.
I think most people understand what I'm saying. Mr. Literal over here has to always point it out if I flub a word in the middle of it, which is good
because somebody else will also flip out because I would have if I was still listening to these episodes.
That's great. That's great. I look forward to those emails. You know what? If you want to email me and be pissed about it, you're more than welcome to. I'm okay with these changes. I've already been upset about Banshee's Veil previously, but I haven't been playing mid lane, and I'm sure if I played it more often that I'd be still upset. But the magic resist going up is worrisome, to say a bit.
Sorta, except that it's mostly mid laners and squishy champs who are buying this. So I guess it makes them a little bit more durable, but like the tanks are the ones complaining about the lack of magic resistance. Like, I mean, it's like 90% on the dollar or something like that. Like you don't get that. It's hard to get magic resist, especially in the quantities that you'd like it, for how easy it is for the casters to get magic pen or percentage magic pen.
Yes, but I just think Banshee. I just don't like it on the mid laners. I hate Banshee's Veil. I hate it that they get this at all out of mid. It's so much better than having Zonias because you continue to move through it and weave auto attacks and abilities. And I just think this item needs to be reworked and not be given to mid laners.
I think it's actually kind of
guy who gets to buy Guardian's Angel.
Yeah, but hey, here's the thing though. I think that the difference here is that they're making it like the amount of gold for how much magic resist they're giving is not like that's fine. That's not really a problem. But what they're doing is they're taking longer for mid laners to have to get it. It's not as easy in an item that they can just say, "Oh, I just can fit this amount of gold into my build and have it. I just have Banshee's Veil." Now it's like 300 gold's a good bit to jump up in terms of cost when you have already a bunch of items you probably want out of mid. I know that Banshees was showing up too often, but I think the cost increase, like you could say the cost increase go up to 4,000. It's 100 magic resist. People aren't going to buy it as much. Like there's a point when they're going to say it's maybe a bit too expensive in my build. I
still think it's a rush item.
I do like that they changed it for that reason, so it takes longer to get it. But I think at the same time, I mean, they're not nerfing the gold value. They're increasing the magic resist to go along with it. So at the same time, it's kind of like that item's still good, so I still want to get that early.
Yeah, but you now instead take 300 gold away from the more damage that the mid laners are building. Like you're delaying 300 gold of damage build after getting the Banshee's Veil price, which is your problem with it. You're not concerned about the 15 magic resist. You're concerned about them getting a spell shield and then still being able to build more damage.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Pone, but like, is the problem that you have with it that this feels like a must-buy item for mid laners?
Yeah, I think it's a must-buy item for almost any mid laner. In most matchups, this is a must-buy item because you're automatically absorbing an ability at some point in time, and you are now gaining more magic resist, which means you're taking less damage, and it just makes you. People are rushing Banshee's Veil because they're already good at managing their mana, and they don't need to be band-aided with Morellos. Yes, that item is awesome, and yes, there could be a problem, gaining that extra mana and being able to spam more abilities. But Banshee's Veil, if you're already good at using your mana resourcefully, Banshee's Veil becomes a must-buy item in the mid lane and must-buy.
How is that any different from Seekers being a must-buy item for mages against an AD opponent?
The difference is Banshee's Veil's blocking something. Zonia's doesn't allow you to continue to push out damage. Zonia's, you have to stand there and wait, and that gives the enemy time to like when you go in stasis, the enemy now is waiting for you to come out of stasis, and that means their abilities are coming back up. So they potentially have some.
I'm not talking about Zonia's though. I'm talking about Seekers being the must-buy item in that matchup.
Which is that's fine. I don't have a problem with people buying magic resist the matchup. I have a problem with Banshee's Veil blocking an ability and allowing you to continue to go.
Okay.
That's my problem.
Oh, I think it's fine. I don't care there because it means like, hey, you can screw up once and it's not going to like ruin your life and everything. I'm happy that this isn't on fucking tanks anymore. Like tanks didn't need to have additional survivability tools when they already had all of the survivability tools in the game.
All right, let's go on to something else. We're gonna agree to disagree on this one.
That's fine. Ninja Tabby has had a change. It's down to 10% base attack damage reduction from 12%. Trying to move it away from.
They're trying to move away from everybody building Tabby all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Give it dodge again.
Bringing dodge back.
Bring back
it's time.
Which is it's a fine change. Just reduce it a bit. I don't have a problem with this. And I don't even know if Nomad's Medallion's even worth talking about because the item's still shit overall compared to the other ones.
It's really bad.
Nomad's Medallion and Eye of the Oasis are cheaper. I mean, that they're still shit.
25 gold.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about those other people.
Rek'sai, Kindred, and Malzahar have all seen significant changes on this patch. Rek'sai goes from being that I can do anything jungler to more of like a Juggernaut style jungler now. For the overall TLDR version of this.
More DPS, less tank that has access to the entire map.
Yeah, because that's probably the biggest change is her ultimate now. Void Rush, it no longer instantly takes you to one of your what are they called? Burrows? Tunnels, thank you. Instead, what happens is you can passively mark somebody by using an ability, and then you can use your R to leap to them and deal damage. Nothing else. There's nothing else.
This worries me because it sounds a lot like Lee Sin all of a sudden, and we don't really need another Lee Sin in this game.
I'd say it's kind of like a
It's
you get a mini
Lee Sin Nocturne combo. Is exactly what it is. You know how there's that secret, the secret, fucking landing a Q on Nocturne and then ulting as Nocturne does the extra Q damage also when you land and hit. This is just baking that all into utilizing her ultimate. It just like land an ability to mark somebody, get to them really fast and do damage.
So hit them, hit them with Q from a far range and then go with R. The thing I noticed about this ability is that it takes you out of burrowed state though.
Yeah.
So once you get to them, you have to burrow again if you want to knock them up as well.
And
Yeah.
now when you
Right, but I mean,
unburrow-
odds are good. It's not like you're using this to initiate or anything. In most cases, odds are you're trying to
Well-
use it to execute and finish somebody off.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, worth noting, it's also an execute. I think that it's kind of cool that you can like now, like before, if you like tunnel into like a gank and then they just flash away. Like if you can get your
You still
prey
get
seeker
them.
off, now you have something to do there. Like you have
Yeah.
something to follow up with, as opposed to being like, well, there goes my gank. That's the end of it. But they also changed like how unburrowing works, because now that can only knock up one target. There's a bunch more than just the ultimate, but I think it's very interesting ultimate change.
There's not really. I mean, they just changed a bunch of the numbers on her, other than unburrowing. Unburrowing only knocks up the target in the middle and then knocks everybody back away from her. And
It's
one person gets on a cooldown for 10 seconds where they can't be knocked up again. So technically, she could burrow and knock somebody else up.
Think Maokai Q knockback.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also now like a full second on everybody, where it was based on how close you are to the target. Your knockup is a full second no matter what. But again, just one target and less damage. They like halved. Oh no, it's less damage late. Sorry.
Which just
Right, but you can. I mean, to the point, it's not like you have to hit Prey Seeker to get the ult off. You can unburrow right in there, and that'll deal damage, and then all of a sudden it's time to ult.
What do you get for ranking W then? Jesus, this looks horrifying. Unless there's, I don't know what's in the actual burrow portion.
you get more
Base
damage.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
but,
base
like-
damage
but the
is
base
low.
damage
Yeah.
Mean.
I think that's your 1 point wonder.
Yeah.
Let me check if that changes.
Probably
I mean,
cooldown.
it's going to be cooldown.
I would
Well-
assume so, but
Yeah, it's going to be.
That hasn't changed. It would be the same as it was previously.
yeah, I'm just wondering what changes with ranking it. But yeah, so do you like target somebody with this? Is it something where you can like I thought that when this was first read to us, like we were saying, wow, you get to like, it's a point and click CC. It's like, is it? I don't really know how this works.
It's
Actually, I'm not sure either, because the cooldown is on burrow, and it's static on all of that. It's 4 seconds, and then 1 second.
So
1
this,
second
this
cooldown
ability
on
just
unburrow.
seems like shit then, other than at
definitely
least
your
putting
last-
extra
your last
ranks
rank
into it.
up.
Like, you may as well just,
Been
they
here.
only give you, after a certain level, they just give you the point to get burrow rank 1 and then throw them all away. Like, that's
well,
what it feels
you
like.
weren't really putting points in W previously, were you? You were doing Q and E.
Yeah, but you like have even less incentive now. Like I haven't seen many times when you give like
not-
less incentive to make a 1 point wonder worse.
It's not really that big of a deal. I think I look at these numbers and these changes, and all I can think of is that top lane Juggernaut or Rek'Sai becomes the norm.
Oh, I'd try that.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I mean-
worth trying.
Making W more of a 1 point wonder goes along with the rest of their changes, which is lowering the base damages by a bit and increasing the damage ratios. They want to make her so that she's actually building some damage, so she's not pure tank. So it makes more sense to put more points in Q and E, your damaging abilities, so that you do damage instead of just be a CC tank.
Right. The reason that she got knocked out of top lane previously is because they started nerfing. They nerfed base damages, and they nerfed the cooldown on R, because before she could just be up in there. I know Sean was playing the shit out of
Take
it.
R, like teleport and R, and just never be out of lane and still kill people.
Right. And they started nerfing base damages on her and whatnot, so she couldn't stay out of top lane.
She gets the extra bonus movement speed while burrowed from W. So I mean, there's
Right.
that, but it's still meh.
I mean, the passive, being able to see people while they're moving, that's still pretty useful for a roaming jungle, Rek'Sai.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if she's going to be pure top lane, but I mean,
No.
I see what you're saying. I'm willing to try that out.
It's just that they gave her a bunch of they upped all of the bonus attack damage. They bumped a bunch of the ratios, so I'm curious to see if that changes anything.
So they still have there's a couple other changes we didn't talk about though. Like her E now, the tunneling, you can re-enter those much faster at later ranks, like down to 2 seconds instead of 6, which is kind of ridiculous. If she actually has that network of tunnels, she's still benefiting from it, as opposed to before when she could use her ultimate to kind of travel anywhere. Now she can jump around the map with, I guess, if you put a bunch of tunnels down. But the other thing is her passive generation is actually pretty interesting, because she now gets Fury way quicker, but the amount of healing she can get is reduced significantly. It went up to 450 over 5 seconds. It's down to 190 over 3 seconds at rank 18, level 18. but you get a bunch more Fury, which means you get your E damage up quicker. Like within 4 auto attacks, you have full Fury. So that's a lot different from before when it was a lot longer. Like it was like you're getting, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 attacks, probably more before you get your full Fury and get that true damage on your E. So I guess that's really powerful.
I didn't realize that it was dealing true damage at max Fury.
Yep, deals double damage.
Yeah.
And true.
Yep. You used it in the jungle. Go up to max and use it to help execute.
No.
Kindred. She's had a bunch of changes as well. TLDR, Kindred's way better now. Go play her. That's pretty much what this comes down to. She's way better than she previously was. Phenomenally better. We're just going to eat nerves.
You mean go play her again is the right way to say it.
Right.
She was not
return to playing her.
Her attack damage growth has been significantly increased from 1.7 to 2.26. That's a significant jump.
And that's it. And that's the change.
That's just
up,
increasing base stats by that much is great. The passive mark of Kindred. Kindred's basic, so this is a big one. Kindred's basic attacks and Mounting Dread gain 75 range at 4 stacks, plus 25 range every 4 stacks thereafter. So if you're good at going and finding stacks and killing champions, you go from 500 range to 600 range really, really quickly. And to give you a point of reference, 600 range is how long of a range Ashe has. And that's a significant amount of range.
That's nice.
Yeah, you'll need, 8 stacks, though, to get to that point.
Which is not that hard to do.
I mean, you can
is that easy? I didn't play Kindred, so I didn't know how
stacks. Competitive play, 8 stacks was a lot. Like a normal solo queue game, 8 stacks is pretty easy to get.
If you don't get to 8 stacks, it's because the enemy team decided ahead of time to make a considered effort to stop you from getting stacks at all costs.
Okay. And there's also some more things that stacks do. It's per ability.
Shit. Q bonus attack speed increased by an additional 5% per stack. No longer increases base damage. Wolf's Frenzy current health damage increased by 0.5% per stack, and E missing health damage increased by an additional 0.5% per stack.
And it's worth noting that Kindred's basic attacks will no longer deal 8% of the target's current health as bonus damage.
Yeah, so they shifted a lot of power here into heavy stack. Like if you don't get your stacks, it could be a very even more feast or famine than before. Maybe?
But at the same time, though, getting stacks now makes everything that you were doing as Kindred easier. I mean, all of your abilities are doing more. You have more range to play around and kite people with.
More attack speed.
Yeah, it stacking is just the range increase is so good.
Yeah, because you're not gated by Q now. Because previously you were getting an attack off or 2, and then you had to Q to keep into the range. And now that you're getting attacks or attack,
if you get enough stacks now, you can actually sit back and play like an AD carry.
Right. It's going to be nerfed. There's no way that this continues to go through because she just became way too good.
Well, then it seems like it's less punishing overall to have it's going to be hard to not get 4 stacks.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It's but in the past, where if you only got to 4 stacks on Kindred and everything, you were basically useless for the rest of the game or for the entirety of that game. Whereas now, if you get to 4 stacks, you should still be able to be an effective contributor. Which on a champion with this much scaling built into, running around and killing jungle creeps.
Well,
there's still a bunch more in here. There's
no, we're going through it. I was just going to point out too. I know I'm going to harp on the base attack damage increase per level, but that is gigantic considering the previous patches they've been hitting. They hit her armor and they hit her attack damage. And they hit a lot of her base stats because they were too high. So giving that back to her is pretty significant, even if they're shifting power through other pieces of her kit. Wolf's Frenzy. The cast range is now anywhere within the 500 range, including over walls. So it doesn't just appear in the middle of her anymore, which is phenomenally amazing buff. It's gigantic. Current health damage. Wolf's attack deal an additional 1.5% of the target's current health is damage, plus additional 0.5% per mark of Kindred stack. But the ratio has gone down to 0.2. The damage type is now magic from physical.
Yeah, they gutted the ratio pretty hard because it was 0.4 total attack damage is now so half the ratio, and now it's bonus instead of total. But I mean, changing it to magic is kind of funky because now you're giving mixed damage type to a champion who could snowball very quickly. It screams Aurelia a little bit in terms of
percent health
building
damage.
AD and getting magic damage because of it. That's why they have to neuter the ratio, like you were saying.
Oh yeah, no, they have to neuter it because otherwise that.
But also, I mean, it's getting current health damage on top of that and everything. So it's not like the damage is taking as big a hit as was being made out because there is that current health element being added in there.
Oh, you know what I love? Apparently she's like Elise Light because now you have a current health damage thing, and now with E you have a missing health damage thing.
Yeah.
That's cute. Look at that.
Mounting
Execute.
Dread, missing health damage, 8% targets missing health plus additional 0.5% per mark of Kindred. Base damage has been decreased to make up or to take some power away from that because it's now an execute, and it does now have a bonus attack damage ratio of 0.8, and the missile speed has been increased as well.
They took away the 5% target's max health as damage and just split that into the current health on W and left the missing health on E. So they shifted so much here. I love that W going over walls though. And I say love, I'm gonna hate to see that shit. When I'm like, why is there a wolf over here? Just nip it.
I'm gonna hate to be on the receiving end of that W going over walls.
Sean, did you ever play much Kindred?
Yeah, I love playing her way back. She's just fun. I always describe her as being a busy champion where you always get to do something, and that's great. Yeah, so like, I mean, she was kind of the beginning of that. So Graves has taken the position that Kindred used to have in being that ADC out of the jungle that did stuff and didn't take that much damage while she was in there jungling and still coming out, being able to do a lot later on. I'm kind of hoping that now we have the two of them going back and forth, and this is going to be fun and cute if it works, because now there's options to play more than one ADC out of the jungle, because Kindred hasn't been that great for a while.
Something that we didn't talk about with the mounting Dread was that as well, to go with Sean's point, it's got another execute. It executes minions essentially now. It wolf's attack critically strikes targets below 15% for 50% bonus damage, and that threshold is increased per stack or per critical strike chance.
It's everybody.
Right, it's everybody, but yes, it helps with the jungle clear.
Oh yeah, I do feel like both Rek'sai and Kindred are just going to skyrocket on up to the top of the play rates, just because. I mean, Elise and Graves are the easiest contemporaries for one or both of these champions in different respects and everything. And those three are among the most played junglers in the game right now.
The thing is though, like both Rek'sai and Kindred, when they were at their peaks of power, were like some of the most played champs, period. And now we're just shifting power back into them. Mind you, like Rek'Sai is going to be doing things a little bit differently. I'd see her being played way more like I see her being played way more damage heavy, and this is going to be fun. But I think Warwick's going to do what she does, but better. Kindred, this return seems awesome. I'm excited for this one. This one seems great.
I
think they both look like really good changes.
Ban worthy.
Yeah,
instantly.
Certainly interesting. I don't know about, I mean, they seem powerful on paper. I definitely want to see them in action.
Kindred, or I'm going to be playing a lot more Janna.
The only thing that I'm curious about with Kindred coming back into play, well, assuming Kindred comes back into play with this, is the potential for Blood Razor to become an interesting and even viable item again. Because like no one's really building it, and when that item is good, it takes over metas. Or whatever iteration of Blood Razor we're in at the time, because it could be Flare, it could be.
I forgot it existed.
Why would you get Blood Razor on Kindred when?
I assume you go Warrior, but like
Warrior is going to be doing.
I guess now you don't have the damage on hit with your passive. I guess the Blood Razor might not be as good.
Yeah,
but I think that so many people are going to build that. I think the win rate on Kindred is going to be absolutely garbage, not just because of the play rate going up, but because people will build her wrong. And then once people figure it out, then it'll be pretty good. It might be like Ivern.
We're going to be having the same go Blood Razor and play for late game, go Warrior and play for early game. It's whatever you decide to do as Kindred. This whole bullshit conversation that's happened 3 years ago.
Nah, fuck that. Play Warrior. Go straight Warrior. Get you
Warrior
some,
in a T-Force, baby. Let's go.
Get you some rapid fire cannon for the extra in range. Get you some Blade of the Ruin King. Just make yourself just be a fucking menace, man.
Just buy so many swords that you won't have enough hands to use them.
Let's talk about Malzahar. The Riot has basically confirmed they hate support Malzahar and want to nerf him into the ground, and these changes hopefully do that.
I mean, and they've been trying to nerf him, but every time they nerf support Malzahar, mid lane Malzahar ends up getting hit way harder.
So the TLDR version of what they did to this is that Void Swarm no longer has charges. Instead, you gain stacks of Void Swarm every time you use abilities. So you can get 2 stacks, and then you can cast but the cast range has also been significantly decreased down to 150 from 450. And Voidlings no longer spawn additional Voidlings, which is probably the most infuriating part of playing into support Malzahar, besides the flash stun silence bullshit that he had.
Well, that and the way that you deal with Voidlings now is different. Whereas in the past, they had just the static HP bar where they had to take a certain number of hits for damage to get rid of them. Now, champion basic attacks and turrets kill them in one shot, like irrespective of what their HP level is at otherwise. And so now instead of that the 3 health they had, like ward health, it's 65 to 201.
They're more like they're more like Elise Spiderlings in that regard.
Yeah.
Fine by me. Call of the Void has had the cast time decreased down to 0.25 seconds. The post-cast delay before firing is up to 0.4 seconds. Does that mean it takes you a moment to swing your arms before you cast it?
Well, no, it means that your model should take less time to cast it, but you'll have a slightly longer time to react to it. Like, cause you'll see a little bit more.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The spell will take longer before going off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
But you can
overall,
move faster
it's
as
very
Malzahar.
very little. Because like you could. I don't remember exactly how it worked originally, because you'd see the gates beforehand. So I think it's just going to be like you get 0.15 seconds longer to react to it, but Malzahar takes a bit less time before he's able to do another thing.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, somebody else who's flanking him, for example, or isn't the target of Call of the Void could have in the past, like they had that moment to take just some type of action against him because he was standing there casting that spell, and now he's it's half the time that he's going to be standing there.
Ability power ratio has been increased to 0.8 from 0.7. Malefic Vision, same thing, up to 0.8 from 0.7. Nether Grasp, it now has a flat beam damage with the maximum health null zone being decreased. So essentially, you could do more damage early to lower life targets.
The beam damage. I think they covered this in I think they covered this in the description, but it's only for his target, correct?
Right.
Whereas the null zone damage is the area around it.
Right.
It works like he did back in the day. I mean, and now except that you don't have to cast
your W first
to get the damage and everything. Now it's just press R. Hey, you get the shit ton of flat damage and also all that percent of health.
So
It's
AoE
not that
does
much damage. It's really like
375 with a 1.15 AP ratio.
Well, more like level 6, 125 with a 1.15.
Yeah,
so you're
it's
doing like
really
150
small.
plus 10% of the target's maximum health, which is what, 90. So you're doing 250 damage, maybe, or 200 damage.
Yeah, but previously it was dealing 10, and then the flat health, or I'm sorry, 25.
Just 25% of the target's maximum health. Right. So it's an increase in damage early for mid lane or top, I guess, if you want to play him out of there too.
No.
I don't want to play him anyway, so
Why not? Could be a pub stopper.
I'm trying to learn so many champs right now.
I need a drink of water. I should have brought one down with me. I think that pretty much
Also,
covers everything. I didn't look at any of the
hold
bug fixes though. Was there anything big? Did
There's
anyone
some.
notice?
Hey, the biggest change of the patch, Abyssal Scepter is now Abyssal Mask.
Yeah, so don't type in Abyssal Scepter anymore.
No,
Yep.
the biggest change of this patch is that 10 bans is coming.
Yes.
The greatest.
I love it.
So right
10
now,
bands coming to Not ranked.
This is important. Not ranked gets 10 bans right now. So if you go play normal draft, you'll get 10 bans. And for those of you that don't know how 10 bans is going to work, it is simultaneous banning, meaning your team bans 5 champions and your enemy team bans 5 champions at the same exact time, but you don't see what the enemy team banned until they come together at the end of that 30 seconds. Now,
if there's overlap, it doesn't fucking matter. That's just
your
whatever.
entire team can ban Lee Sin 5 times.
The one thing I'm kind of confused about. The one thing I'm confused about is how you might be able to pre-select your champion, or is that just going to be like the 5 or 10 seconds or something before everything starts?
They changed champion select a little bit so that you have time to pre-select your.
You have to ban now too, right? Or it boots you from the lobby.
Yes, you have to ban or choose don't ban. You can choose not to ban if you want to.
Oh, okay. You just have to make a choice.
Right, Dom. They just added it a little bit more with that ban during that banning phase. Everyone bans, and then it goes into the pre-selecting phase before we get into select, actual champion select.
So you pre-select after you ban? That doesn't make any sense. What's the point of that?
If I remember correctly, that's how it works. I don't.
You pre-select, then you ban, and then you go to select.
Why does it matter?
Because if you want to play, if you have first pick and you want to play Lulu, for example, on the current patch and everything, if you pre-select her, then your team knows not to ban her.
You might just have to type it.
That's fine and everything, but that's the one thing that's throwing. But I imagine it's the pre-select is still in the same period right before bans.
I really hope that because I think it can be duplicated across teams. I wonder if it can be on the same team, because it'd be funny as shit to see a team like ban 5 Yasuos and your opponents know that.
They won't know that until after.
Until it happens, obviously, until that goes through.
Are we going to see in this video what the pre-select
I'm showing you the video. You get to pre-select your champion, and then you get to declare your champion, then you get to ban, and then you can...
okay, but can they see the pre-select during the banning?
No, the enemy team can never see that.
Let's see what the video shows us.
No. It's the same way as it was. The enemy team's not going to be able to see your pre-select ever.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I mean the rest of your team.
So this should actually speed...
No, it's separate. It's separate windows. So it's separate windows from your declare and your ban. So
okay.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm more excited about the format than the actual increase in the number of bans. Because I just want champion select phase to take less time. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Let's get into the game faster.
It'll be fun. I'm gonna go punch my dog in the face though. If you guys don't.
It's not okay.
Whoa!
Wow,
dude.
dude.
Say that on podcast, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna punch her right in the fucking snout. She won't shut up. She's been barking for 20 fucking minutes.
You can't beat your dog. Yeah.
I can beat my dog if I want to beat my dog. No, I don't beat my dog. I love my dog.
We don't. The rest of us don't condone.
Yeah, we don't condone animal violence. I feel like somebody needs to call somebody.
You're really bookending this one with praising our troops and then gonna beat a dog afterwards.
Yeah, this got out of control.
Jeez,
sometimes you gotta beat your animals.
At home, you can see what my dog is doing right there.
No, my dog is
getting beaten.
I'm sorry if you listen to this podcast at the time. My dog is right somewhere over here. I can fucking hear her and she won't shut the fuck up. I'm not gonna beat my dog. I'm gonna go out there and say, Eris, come here. Oh, I love you. Now shut the fuck up and get inside. But
I fucking love Whale contacting the fucking PETA thing.
Thanks for the link, Whale.
Thanks, buddy.
Please don't. Please, I love my dog. I've never beat my dog in ever. But just like you say, just like your parents threatened to beat your ass when you were younger, it's the same thing. We know Sean got a lot of ass whoopings.
Always. I deserved them too.
Yeah, we bet he did. That's it. That's the patch, guys. That's patch 7.11. So the big things. I think the biggest things out of this patch is go try Kindred and Rek'sai. Nothing else really stands out to say screams try me, other than try the new champions. Yeah, it's pretty much.
Sure.
It's
try playing Renekton again. You might enjoy it now.
Yeah, there you go.
You enjoyed it before. You may enjoy it again.
Is this where we leave it? Is this where I just tell Lance?
You really petered out at the end here. This one's on you.
I gotta go love my dog. She's annoying me.
Yep.
All right.
Nobody believes you. Nobody believes that.
Yep. The best part is he stumbled on that, just saying that in itself. I gotta go love my dog. What?
Fuck you guys. Thanks so much for listening to Trinity Force Podcast. We'll see you all next week.
See ya.
See you guys.